Hello, and welcome back to Anastasia Speaks, where sacred spaces are created to heal the invisible scars and build communities of love whilst illuminating the magic of you through soul integration. I am Anastasia, your host. I know I've been away for a long time. It's been over a year actually since I recorded something new. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I really have missed podcasting, but it has been a year of great trials and tribulations. It has been a year of reflection. It's also been a year of grieving for me. My older sister made her transition into spirit, and, life has just been lifing for the last year. I've spent the last year, in the throes of grief. Yeah, plowing away, working hard to finish my book for the deadline, which I did miss and had to reschedule it. Miraculously and unintentionally, it lined up with my now late sister's birthday, which is May. So my first ever book as a published author was birthed earlier this year in May. As you can expect, there were lots and lots of tears. I felt my sister lovingly encouraging me to finish this book, this 20-year project, the whole time. Yes, it's taken me 20 years to compile this book. Oh, it's been compiling, I should say, for 20 years. I didn't know that, I was going to put it out in the world, but I decided to finish it and put it out. So as you can hear, it's been a lot, and I was at capacity, hence not podcasting. So, I just had to take that time for me, really. But I'm back, we're here, and I'm ready to give you lots more soul goodness. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about my debut book, The Empath and Her Twin Flame. Through you, I discovered me. And I'm also going to be sharing and talking a bit about my upcoming book, Broken Open. In my first 3 episodes, I briefly talk about being broken open spiritually and how that journey began a long time ago. If you haven't listened to them, I highly, highly recommend you do, as it will give you a more rounded viewpoint on what I'm about to say. So first, my debut poetry book, The Empath and Her Twin Flame. This journey has been extraordinary because I met my twin at 14, which is quite young. And this was one of those experiences that I truly believe broke me open into the world of spirituality and soul connectivity in a real, tangible, evidential way. I started writing this book therapeutically and didn't ever intend on sharing it, honestly. But I feel like if I had to share it, it would just be with my twin. So I guess, things happened during the relationship and in life that made me feel like actually this is worthy to put out, because I can't be the only one going through this, and people need to know that they are not alone. And my guides were really, really hammering that into my subconscious about sharing that message about not being alone. I mean, it's kind of been the theme song my whole life, honestly, but over the last, I would say, 10 years especially, it's been, let's just say, maybe not 10 years, 7 years, it's been, people need to know that they're not alone when they're going through the things that they're going through. So I guess this is the episode where I talk a little bit more about twin flames and its definitions. So twin flames are 2 souls that share the same energetic blueprint. They are the perfect divine balance of masculine and feminine energy together as a combined one. Now, they are created by God, creator, or the divine or source. They came in to anchor in unconditional love into and onto the planet because it is very much needed and has been needed at this time and many other times. This is their purpose. but their missions carry a more individualistic type expression. So they will share a joint mission to serve and be in service to humanity in different ways. So the hows will look very different according to each individual. And that's the long and short of it. I'll go into much more detail in a future book and in a future episode, but for now, I'll just say Twin Flames have been made into a commercialized social media frenzy that is just overly romanticized, over sexualized, and fetishized. I've even seen people use words as demonic and ungodly, according to people who are more religious. And I would just like to state that there is nothing ungodly or demonic about two souls created to birth more unconditional love into the world, through the ages in all nations. So, just some friendly advice for those who are completely unaware of what twin flames are or without complete knowledge of the facts in its entirety. Just heed your comments of disdain, the thoughts of judgment, and the behaviors of really ignorance and self-righteousness, and instead I would like to really plead that you choose observation instead. Choose mindfulness, choose openness. You don't have to believe anything. You don't even have to necessarily listen. But casting judgments, is something one doesn't need to do. And I just believe that we should exercise more grace and compassion, especially when we only know what we know. So that's really what I wanted to say right out the gate. Meeting my twin at such a young age and writing about it really set the tone for truth in my life, for expression and vulnerability. For, over 20 years, I've written words of poetry, prose, and rhyme, journaling my feelings and words of wisdom from channelings I received over the years. And really, this is how this poetry book, The Empath and Her Twin Flame, was born, as are the rest of my books, including the upcoming book, Broken Open. So this is really near and dear to my heart. This really is something I know that I have been called into. This is very much part of my soul purpose here, is really demystifying a lot of the BS surrounding twin flames, surrounding just what people don't know, what people are afraid of, what people are unfamiliar with, and trying to get rid of the stigmas and the judgments about it, and really creating communities and mindsets where we can be more open and actively listen rather than shutting people down or away because they're different or it sounds different or unfamiliar. And so this book is for twin flames. It's also for people who have struggled with loss of relationships, because this speaks to going through separation and healing. On that note, I'd love to share a poetry piece from my debut book, The Empath and Her Twin Flame, and it is called Letting Go of Fairy Tales. This is on page 159 of the physical copies. It was a tightrope. Too far back and we could fall. Too far forward, it was a slippery slope. But sloping and slouching was the best fit for this tirade, whilst we had no business free falling, meandering in past pain. Love was our kryptonite, but pain was also the hero. The Empath and the Twin Flame is available on iBooks, Kindle, Amazon, and AnastasiaSpeaks.com. I also published the Twin Flame Journal as a companion to help twin flames to record and sort through all the emotions and things to assist them in their healing, ascension, and union. This is also available on Amazon and on my website. Now moving on to my upcoming book, Broken Open. In the beginning of 2017, there was a lot going on for me, from separating and actually filing for divorce to, still figuring out how to be a new mum. Life was chaotic, and I remember just feeling exhausted, so run down, so exhausted, and feeling still like my world had crumbled. I wasn't sure how to put the pieces back together. So that birthed Broken Open. I am a private person, so I wrote everything down. I just wrote my way through it as I do with everything in life. And like the Empath and a Twin Flame poetry book, I wasn't sure that I was going to share this. However, again, in the last few years, same amount of time, I've seen how much the world needs the messages that have come through in this book. And again, to let people know that they're not alone, that is really a big theme. I say it at every episode, on every episode at the end, because it's just important. No one is without the need or feeling of companionship, So I write all of this down, feeling alone actually at that time. And this is where I have to talk about the inner critic, perfectionism, and imposter syndrome. Because, one could say life happened and kept happening. So I kept pushing back writing and potentially thinking about putting it out there. Another might argue I wasn't ready, or, the soul of the books hadn't fully lived its story. But the truth is, though all of this is true, I didn't know if my words were important enough, to care enough even about putting them into the world, from my journals and notes into public hands. I didn't recognize my power within the words. I didn't see the richness in my authenticity and the purpose of love that constantly fueled and propelled me into people's lives, to care, to guide, offer kindness and empathy, lend a hand, shoulder or ear. Despite going through all I was going through, during that period, I was writing and feeling a lot of angst and pain and anxiety and going through PTSD, Yet I was always moved by people, by love, to give advice and intuitive messages, and the call to just write. Yes, perfectionism caught me between fear. So I didn't like what I said sometimes, nor did I think that what I did or who I was at the time was enough to tell the story. But today I know that I am enough. I know that my words are enough, and I am both proud and humbled by all versions of me that existed before now. The little girl, the teenager, the adult, the woman, and the new mum who always stood for what was right and loved hard with everything she had, to the best of her ability, and giving the best of her ability always, no matter what. This is a superpower, and we aren't always lucky enough to have groups of people to cheer us on in our superpowers. And I'm grateful that I create that in my world, and I invite and encourage others to do the same. So that too is part of my superpower. But what I know is my words are, and I could no longer deny or keep being small. So I am currently writing to publish all the dozens of books in my arsenal because they're brilliant. They are me, untamed, wild and free and poetic, They are filled with so much love, so much hope, so much wisdom and authenticity, with magic drizzled in there by spirit, all because of its purity of intention and grace. I won't lie, sit here and tell you that my confidence didn't or doesn't get rocked. At times, especially when I see my kept ideas, book ideas, concepts, projects, channelings, or writings appear on the bigger names and at the big stages on larger platforms, I do it does. It always feels like a little piece of me shatters, especially when it's uncanny how alike and identical the stories or wordplay or even imagery has been at times. So that has put a big pause in action steps moving forward. But, it's such a rookie mistake. It's also the absence of understanding one's own power, when you allow things like that to get in the way, especially when there's nothing new under the sun, right? And if we're all one, then guess what? I guess we're all gonna get the same message at some time, just at different stages, different points in our life. So, we may choose to ignore it or be ignorant to it in knowing what to do with the message or information, and we might also forget. But the truth is, it's existed. Humble pie really does serve a hand at keeping grace and courage and purpose on hand at the best of times. So rather than be discouraged, I've decided to be inspired. And I would love to say to everyone listening to do the same. Don't be discouraged. Be inspired. Rather than feel defeated, see the challenge and rise to the occasion. You can do it. Your voice always matters. No matter what people say to try to keep you or your message suppressed, no matter the people who oppress or overlook you, share anyway. Share anywhere, because you're going to share the message in your unique way that no one else can do. You have a voice only you possess, and only you can use the way that you use it. My book, Broken Open, is testimony to sharing the stuff we discard, disregard, and deny. No matter how tired or broken it might sound, it's still vital that we say it anyway and share the creative gift of expression so that others may be liberated and liberate others too. A few years ago, I was in meditation and I heard, "We are all broken holes." And I thought, wow, how simplistically profound. Not only are we little variated pieces of the one whole, but we are also whole in our pieces, therefore never actually broken. And those claiming brokenness really are speaking of falsehood. Anywhere that we believe that is a lie and doesn't exist. It never has and it never will. It's like when we come into this realm, we go through this mass forgetting and forgetting its truths and the infinite wisdom, such as existing as one. But I just want to encourage you all to continue to find those falsehoods within you that say that you are separate to anything or anyone, including God, the creator, source, or the divine. However you identify, just know that this couldn't be further from the truth. And this in part is scattered throughout my book, which is interesting because I just originally thought it was going to be a poetry book. It's a guidebook really about how to move through times that make you feel like there's no way I can come back from this. There's no way I can come back from this the same. So with that, I would love to share the back matter of my upcoming book with you all. Let's face it, we've all been broken open because we're all just individuated pieces of one whole. So you can go into growth kicking and screaming, or silently surrender to its hidden beauty. Many of us have felt broken, and this book speaks to that brokenness. It's the relatable journey of heartbreak, and it's packed with raw and emotive poetic pieces, with pockets of wisdom and a guide into how to overcome. This is just one story out of the many of millions of people that exist. But On each page, in each piece of poetry, there is a thread between us all. This book is for all those told they are too sensitive, too broken to be relatable, to the broken hearts left believing they're unfixable, when in actuality, they only need a safe space and some time to heal, just like anyone else. Broken Open focuses on the lessons and insights buried beneath all that was lost, an opportunity for purification, healing, and emancipation. A little compass of poetic metamorphosis, showing you how breaking actually pulls you out of the shadows of misalignment, perfectionism, and isolation, and into the most beautiful versions of you. Broken Open features poetry and prose of what I like to call periods of brokenness. Finding strength in vulnerability, pain, and endurance can be hard, especially when love causes us to feel alone. But love is the only true remedy and freedom. Allow the universe and your higher self to continue to conspire for your highest good. Find peace in knowing change is inevitable. Change equals growth, and growth is the transformative wisdom of evolution. Broken Open will be released in the coming years, so stay tuned for its release dates. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of information, but I kind of already summarized it for you. We're coming close to the end of the show, and I'd love to give you some affirmations to affirm throughout the week to integrate what you've listened to today and reflect on how you've been broken open in your life. You can say this out loud, you can write it, just to affirm your power. I am one with all there is, and all is one with me. I am worthy to be seen, and all aspects of me are divine. I am filled with clarity and peace as I am cracked open. The beauty of my shadows are catalysts for birthing my most luminous self. I become the most luminous version of myself when I accept all parts of me. You can find a sneak peek of my upcoming book, Broken Open, on YouTube and Spotify, in addition to the Twin Flame Journal and the Empath and the Twin Flame Poetry book. And just like that, we've come to the end of the show. As always, I love to give you a prompt, and this week's prompt is Brokenness Unveils. Fill it in. These prompts are creative writing prompts designed to take you a little deeper into self-reflection, discovery, and soul integration. To get those channels of creativity and divine insights opening more and more week after week, to help integrate the lessons along with the messages our soul has for us. Take 20 minutes and 20 minutes only to write all that comes up without distractions. It doesn't matter what it sounds like or what it looks like. It doesn't need to be perfect, just write and be present. You don't need to share it, but if you feel moved to, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to send your responses in, or if you've got questions, share them in the comment sections on my social media pages or in the review sections, along with your replies to my additional question on Spotify. This will be answered on the next show, but for now, if you're ready to take the next steps into the journey of soul integration and embracing being broken open with more fulfillment, head over to anastasiaspeaks.com and book a free discovery call with me. Let's use what's broken as your greatest asset. You can also join the tribe and connect over on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, and Clubhouse, searching Anastasia Speaks, or go to anastasiaspeaks.com for more. Remember, seeking more means you can no longer stay small. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. The key is always radical self-acceptance. Just know, delay is not denial. Missteps happen so we get the chance to realign, and you are not alone. Love louder to release all fear. See you on the next episode.